Welcome to Issues That Matter. I'm Cynthia Pooler, and my guest is Scott Ritter, and we're going to talk about bipartisan support in Congress to fund the war in the Ukraine. So, Scott, what do you think?
Well, I mean, look, we've seen the House of Representatives under Nancy Pelosi's leadership um, rush to approve $40 billion worth of aid, which is more than was actually requested by the Biden administration, um, with near unanimous support. I think there were uh, uh, a handful of Republican dissenters, but by and large, it passed with overwhelming support in the House, with no real debate. They spent a day giving speeches, and the speeches were of the sort that would could be taken verbatim in any Orwellian movie you want of a nation having lost all sensibility. The concept that this was a uh, an enterprise derived from democracy is absurd. These were moneyed interests, political interests, making a rush to do something that they didn't understand. I can guarantee you that not a single one of those representatives could sit here and tell you what was in the $40 billion package they just approved. They don't know. They may know a couple items. They don't know the totality of it. They also don't understand why this is being given, how it's going to be used. And in the context of Afghanistan, they can't tell you how the money is going to be spent or accounted for. One of the failings of Afghanistan, and we just had the special inspector general for Afghanistan reconstruction has issued a recent report that said one of the reasons why we failed is that we never truly comprehended what we were doing to begin with. Congress is supposed to be the deliberative body that receives testimony. They consider things before acting in a manner that uses U.S. taxpayer money. What we learned from Afghanistan is that Congress is a self-licking ice cream cone. It's all about pleasing Congress. They go through the motions. They go through the appearance. They brought general after general after general after general. We can throw in a whole bunch of generals after that to testify before them. And those generals lied about what was going on in Afghanistan, and Congress accepted the lies, appropriated money, billions of dollars that went over there. And after 20 years, we failed. You would have thought they would have learned something from this process. But no, they're doing the exact same thing with Ukraine, because the war has been sold not in terms of its reality, but in terms of the fantasy created by political interests in Washington, D.C., to sustain a Russophobic approach to global engagement by the United States. So the House of Representatives passed this. It went over to the Senate, and in true bipartisan, incompetent fashion, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell were seeking to get what's called unanimous consent. Now, the U.S. Senate is designed by intent, by the founders, to be a slower, more deliberative body where you can sit down and you have to discuss things and lay it all out. But no, they wanted unanimous consent. We're just going to do this and pass it on to the president. No debate. And they were going to go for it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
This
ahead.
one guy named Rand Paul, the junior senator from Kentucky, said, "Nope, I got an issue here. Why are we sending $40 billion to Ukraine when the American people are suffering? Why are we giving all this money away to Ukraine when our economy is in tatters? And most importantly, why are we giving this to Ukraine when the lessons of Afghanistan tell us we need to account for this? Why is there not an inspector general? We're giving away $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money, and we're not going to set up an accounting mechanism. No one can tell me how this money is going to be spent, how it's going to be accounted for. You're giving it to one of the most corrupt nations in the world, whose government officials and leaders historically take money and put it in their pockets. Is this going to actually get to the Ukrainian forces? Is this actually going to have the impact in Ukraine that you think it's going to have when you appropriate this money? So he raised his hand and he put an end to unanimous consent. And so we're going to see later today the Senate will vote on it, more than likely, because the Senate, like the House, is caught up in this warmongering, war glorification, bipartisan support for the national suicide of Ukraine. They're going to approve this money. And in doing so, they will have disrespected every single American citizen whose taxpayer dollars they're using for that, because they can't tell me how it's being accounted for, who's getting it, how it's being used, and what the ultimate impact will be.
Now, recently, Nancy Pelosi and then oh, Mitch McConnell went over there.
Right.
What did they promise Zelensky?
Well, they promised Zelensky support, and they're giving him that support. They're providing basically a blank check. I mean, look, let's put this in perspective. The United States of America, since the beginning of this year, has provided for, if this $40 billion program is passed, will have provided $53 billion worth of military assistance just in the first 4 months of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Military assistance for waging a military conflict against Russia. That's more than the entire military budget for the entire Russian military for the entire year, meaning that Russia spends less than $53 billion a year for all of its military, for its missiles, for its ships, for its airplanes, for its manpower, for the tanks across all of Russia. And we just gave the Ukrainians more than what Russia spends in totality. This is insane. This is insane. Now, if we're going to say, okay, but we want this to have a meaningful impact, we're serious about standing up to Russia. I think at that point in time, if you're serious about this, you need to have an inspector general. You need to have somebody who investigates how the money, but more importantly, you need to have actually had a very deliberative process of how much money we're spending and what we're spending it on, to people to think it through. This is literally a bill that's been cobbled together by politicians seeking to be seen as doing something meaningful, not to actually be doing something meaningful. You know, it takes years to put together the briefings in support of an annual defense budget. And I say years because many of these programs stretch out for years. So you have to go back in time, you have to go forward in time, you have to explain to Congress why we want to take US taxpayer money to build airplane X, tank Y, to fund manpower Z. And Congress thinks about it, and sometimes, usually Congress votes in favor, but there is a deliberative process. They bring all of the service heads before them. They bring all the secretaries, they bring the generals, and they testify and testify and testify. Questions are asked, answers are given. None of this happened with Ukraine. We gave away $53 billion without anybody asking any questions. People are simply throwing stuff at it, at the problem. 200 M113s, 90 M777 howitzers. We're going to underwrite the salaries. We're going to do this. The Ukrainians basically opened up their fantasy book, and whatever fantasy they came up with, we're going to provide them. And it's going to even get worse with Lend-Lease now that Congress has passed the Lend-Lease bill. Even more billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer money is going down to Ukraine. And there's no ability to follow through and find out how this is actually having an impact. I mean, if I want an improvement in my house and I put a new roof on my house, I want some assurances that that roof's going to work. Right. I don't want the first rainfall to have leaks coming through the floor. You do your due diligence. None of that is being done. And basically the roof we think we're putting over the Ukrainian house is going to leak like a sieve because we've done no due diligence. We have no follow through. We have nothing. We're just throwing money away.
Okay, you just said that we're underwriting the salaries. Can you explain that?
Well, Ukraine right now is a bankrupt nation. They have no viable functioning economy. Nothing's happening. They're not producing anything. They're not selling anything. They used to be one of the largest exporters of wheat in the world. That ain't going to the market. No one's buying Ukrainian wheat. They used to have very vibrant industries. Those have all been blown up. Nothing's getting produced. And yet they're mobilizing hundreds of thousands, soon perhaps 1 million people into the military. And they have a large standing army. And these salaries need to be paid. These soldiers need to be paid. The people that work with Zelensky and the government need to be paid. The people that run the trains need to be paid. The people that run the post office need to be paid. Every Ukrainian civil servant needs to be paid. There's no money in the Ukrainian coffers to pay anybody. So rather than have the country go into absolute collapse and default, we've stepped up and said, we're going to pay you guys. We're going to pay all your salaries. Now that's pretty noble of us, except if you think about whose salaries we're paying. Because in addition to paying for, Sergeant Schmuckatelli, who might be an upstanding Ukrainian, service member, we're underwriting the Azov regiment, the Nazis. We're paying the salary of the Nazis. We're paying the salary of the mercenaries, the international mercenaries who are working for the Ukrainian military under the territorial defense. This is who we're paying. This is the salaries that we're underwriting. I don't think the American people know that. We're literally paying the salaries of Nazis. All those guys that just surrendered in Mariupol, those Nazis with their nice little swastikas tattooed all over the bodies, we're paying for them. Congratulations, America. Your grandfathers went across the ocean to defeat Nazi Germany, and today your taxpayer dollars are being used to pay the progeny, the ideological progeny of people we thought we were eradicating from the face of the earth.
Okay, that leads me to the next question, and I think it's a really, really heart-wrenching situation. There are members of Congress who are Jewish, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, therefore, why are they funding Nazis? Why are they not questioning what's going on? Why are they blindly giving this money when they have a heritage that killed many, many of their relatives and ancestors, but you don't hear a peep out of them?
This is a question only someone of Jewish faith can answer. I mean, I have my own opinion on this, but that's irrelevant. I think we need to stick to the facts. Stepan Bandera, who is the Ukrainian nationalist, who is revered by the Ukrainian nationalists that exist today, was a man who oppressed Jews. He was a man who fought alongside Nazi Germany. The Ukrainian nationalists who fought under his banner pulled the triggers that killed 30,000 Jews in Babi Yar.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled the triggers and controlled the camps that killed hundreds of thousands of other Jews. The nationalism, the kind of virulent white supremacist ethnic purity nationalism that they espouse, not only calls Polish people subhuman, Russian people subhuman, but Jewish people subhuman. Now, people turn around and they're very shallow and they say, oh, well, Zelensky's a Jew. He could never do that. Well, if you think for a second that the Azov regiment and the right sector view Zelensky as their leader, you're wrong. Their leader is Stepan Bandera in the memory of Stepan Bandera. Zelensky is a tool being used to pursue. And throughout history, and I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble here, but when you go to a concentration camp run by Nazi Germany, their execution camps, they were slaughtering Jews, murdering them, genocide.
Right.
And the people inside the camps that helped make this happen were called capos. They were Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
The haters of Jews have always used Jews to kill Jews. All right, so let's not pretend for a moment that Azov and the right sector and Sloboda and the other ultranationalist movements have suddenly had an awakening where they're tolerant of the Jewish faith and the Jewish people. No, they continue to make videos today that talk about killing Jews, etc. Zelensky is a tool. He's not the leader. He doesn't lead anything. He's being used by them to empower their movement. That's the simple truth. And the fact that American Jewish leaders can't see this is an indictment of their intellectual curiosity or lack thereof.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
And you know what? I don't care if I insulted anybody, because I'll tell you this: the fact that American Jews are sitting in silence while American taxpayer money is being used to fund the Nazi ideology that my relatives went across the ocean to destroy, insults me. So
Right.
let's play the insulting game. And guess who's going
Wow.
to win this one? Not you. Not
Wow.
you. I have the power of history on my side. You're forgetting the history. You're empowering those whose mission was in World War II to slaughter Jews. And if you think that Ukrainian nationalists, once they achieve their goal of controlling all of Ukraine, are going to be tolerant to Jews, think again. This is literally, there's two things here. One is American Jews are so anti-Russian. Many of the American Jews are from Ukraine, from Western Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
and they hate the Russians with a passion. And so they are willing to set aside facts they know to be true and to pretend they don't exist to sustain the Russophobic policies of the United States of America because of their hatred for Russia. And the other one is unfortunately a historical tendency on the part of Jews to downplay anti-Semitism. Oh, no, I know there's a whole bunch of people out there who scream never again, never forget.
Right.
And they don't forget, nor should they forget. But I also think that there is a tendency on the part of segments of the Jewish community to avoid confrontation. We don't want to get them angry. We don't want to get them mad. We don't want to raise our profile. And so they have a tendency to tone things down when they shouldn't be toned down. And when you have American Jewish organizations deliberately toning down the level of Nazi infiltration into Ukraine today, you have to ask yourself why they're doing that. Because here's my point. One Nazi is too many. One Nazi is too many. So if you're telling me in Ukraine there's only a few Nazis, that's a few too many. But I'm going to respond by telling you that there are millions of Nazis. And worse than that, there are millions of Nazi sustainers. You know, the Nazi party in Germany was not the entire country. The Nazi party in Germany succeeded because the German people sustained them, made it possible for 6 million Jews to be killed. And so now in Ukraine, while it may not be the entire population tattooing themselves with the swastika, enough of them are, and they are supported by the Ukrainian people who have made Stepan Bandera their national hero. They put statues up to this man. And if you're an American Jew and you tolerate this, shame on you. Shame on you. You insult yourself, you insult me, and you insult the memory of every one of those Americans who went overseas and sacrificed their lives to destroy fascist Germany. Shame on you. And I feel very strongly about this, as you can probably.
Now, the mainstream media, a majority of people, I'm sure, watch the mainstream media for their news, and mainstream media kind of whitewashes the whole situation. Like Congress, do the people who make millions of dollars each year, like Rachel Maddow, Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, they know the truth, don't they?
I can't speak for them personally. They should know the truth. I respect the intelligence of each one of them. I respect their capabilities. They wouldn't have gotten where they are if they were stupid. But they are not in the business of disseminating the news. You need to understand that. They are not in the news business. They are in the entertainment business. And as such, their job is to take information and shape it in a way that is entertaining to the audience. And Rachel Maddow's job is to entertain a specific segment of the American public that is anti-Russian, anti-Republican, and she does that very well. But the facts, when the facts are out there that aren't consistent with her message, she ignores those facts. So they're not in the business of telling the truth. They're not in the business of informing the public of what is fact-based reality. They're in business of promulgating fiction for the purpose of entertainment. That's it. That's how they make their money.
People are entertained, but they think they're informed, right?
That's the fault of the individual watching it. Again, I'm not going to insult the individual American. If you're the exception to this rule, so be it. But collectively speaking, the American people are the most ignorant people on the face of the earth about the world we live in. We don't know anything. I'll challenge them even further. Call yourself an American? I believe in the Constitution. Take the test. The test that every naturalized American has to take. You come over to America, you want to be an American citizen, you got to pass a test on the Constitution, on American government. It's not a hard test. Take it. 90% of the Americans today who were born in America will fail this test. So don't sit here and tell me how wonderful, God-fearing, flag-waving American you are if you can't pass that test. Don't tell me about defending constitutional rights if you don't know what's in the Constitution. And don't tell me about supporting sending $40 billion over to Ukraine if you can't tell me exactly what's going on in Ukraine, what the history is, and why we're trying to do what we want to do. So the American public is not a public of informed citizens. It should be. If it was, I think we'd live in a much different country than we live in today. But the American public is a bunch of ignorant sheep who have wrapped themselves in a cocoon of comfort based upon consumer-driven values. And as long as they're comfortable in their life, they're not going to rock the boat. What's breaking Americans out today? Not that we're doing something wrong in Ukraine, but the price of gas at the pump is going up.
Right.
That's what makes them care. They don't care that we're underwriting the salaries of the Nazi murderous thugs that are coming out of the Azovstal bunkers. They don't care about that. But God forbid the price of gas hit $5.
Right.
I punctured my cocoon of comfort, and now I'm angry. Well, shame on you if that's all you're worried about.
I have friends on Facebook who said the very same thing this morning, how upset they are that the price of gas is nearly $5 a gallon.
Yeah, wow, woo, geez, that's tough, man. I pay the same price. Am I happy about it when I go to the pump? Nope, I'm not happy about it. It's going to get much worse. Wait till the price of diesel makes Walmart go out of business. Wait till the price of diesel makes Amazon go out of business. All these things that make our life comfortable. I can run to Walmart right now and I have access to everything in my giant Walmart shopping center. But if Walmart can't afford the diesel necessary to have its trucks run around all over the country and stock it, then Walmart's going out of business. Why did the Walmart stock tank yesterday? Why is it going to continue to tank? Because the price of diesel is putting America out of business. Wait till that happens and your little cocoon of comfort suddenly is totally punctured. Then you got to start asking yourself, how did this happen?
Right.
And then you're going to realize it's because of the insane Russophobic policies of the Biden administration and the Trump administration and the Obama administration, that this is a self-inflicted wound that didn't have to happen. But it happened because the American people, rather than standing up and asking questions when they should have, sat back in silence and tuned into Rachel Maddow and allowed themselves to be entertained.
Now, last I heard the price of diesel was $7 a gallon. How high can it go, do you think?
How high can it go? It can go as high as is required. I mean, if there's demand and there's not enough diesel to meet the demand, then the cost of diesel is going to go through the roof. I'm not, look, there was a time when diesel was, $1.70. Now it's $7. Does it have the potential of hitting $10? Yeah. Could it go higher than that? There's nothing going to stop it. The only thing that's going to stop it going higher is more diesel. And where are we going to get there's a reason why we don't have enough diesel, because the refineries aren't putting it out enough. This is a crisis. So, until they solve the supply demand equation of it, fuel prices are based upon speculations based upon assessments of what the market can sustain. And right now there's a need for diesel, and they're going to price diesel according to people's willingness to pay that price. But there will come a point where it's no longer economically viable for a trucker to fill up his truck and drive across country to deliver. But the cost of transportation is going to exceed the cost of the value of the goods in the back. And when that happens, the whole thing shuts down. It's over.
But the big box stores are not going to allow themselves to go out of business, right? They're going to say something about the price of diesel, right?
I think they're screaming it from the top of their lungs right now. So they can't not allow themselves. They go out of business when I stop shopping.
Right.
Wake up, big box people. You can say whatever you want, but if your shelves are empty because your truckers aren't delivering goods, or when I walk in, instead of the bargain deals that I was getting, the prices are through the roof and I can't afford that anymore, I don't shop there. And when enough of me stop shopping there, you go out of business. So again, I've said this all along. The CEOs of America need to understand the relationship between foreign policy and domestic reality. And when you have a president go off the rails, go insane, as we have done with Russia and Ukraine, the consequences hit us here at home. And the CEOs have to start becoming far more political than they are. And as such, the people that shop there, look, if you're a consumer and you shop at Walmart and that's what makes you tick, understand that you're going to lose this. And if you're not screaming at the top of your voice right now, and now is the time to be heard, because we have midterm elections coming up.
Right.
And I can guarantee you the Democratic Party will stand up and take notice if everybody says, we're never going to vote Democrat again because of what you guys have done to us. It's over. Here's my lifelong Democratic card, rip, done, finished. And the Republicans would be very smart to say, we would do it differently, even though they might not, even though they can't prove it because of the votes in Congress. This becomes politics at its most base level. If you irritate the constituent won't vote for you. That's why politicians have a history of throwing things out, trying to make people happy. Well, the Biden administration is doing the exact opposite of making people happy right now. They're making everybody unhappy.
Well, on that note, on that unhappy note, we have to, you know, close the conversation for a while. And so you've been listening to Scott Ritter. I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Issues That Matter. If you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks, Scott. I really like talking to you. Have a great day, and thank you, everybody, for listening.